Welcome to HED Talks. Thank you. Yes, HED Talks. Yes, it's never been more appropriate the name than in this series right here. So apparently, clearly, you know what we're talking about today.
Did I forget something?
Yeah, you know what we're talking about today. All right, so we're going to dive into memory, how to strengthen your memory. What is it? How's memory formed? We're going to talk about all of that. But first, what do we have to do? Yes, so first we need to review. Okay. Hello, Kay. All right. So let's review. Do you remember from last week, what did we talk about? Parts of the brain. Excellent. And we started off with some myths, some things that we just believed that really weren't true. We only use 10% of our brain. True or false? False. That is absolutely false. And we know that because we now have what?
Imaging.
What? Imaging. Yes, excellent. Yes, David said, I said, we now have what? David said, a brain. It is true. So in imaging, we can see clearly and positively that when the brain is stimulated, how much of it is activated? How much of it is responding? All of it, yes, all of our brain is responding. And then we also took a look at something else that people believe that is not true, and that is what?
What controls your side?
We have strengths in our one side or the other, and that isn't true either, is it? No, because again, what happens when our brain is stimulated? So you've got what? How much of your brain is available to you?
100%.
Yes, all of your brain is available to you. So just remember that. Don't be thinking to yourself, you're free to use it all.
I thought it was only 80%.
No, it's 100%. You have access to all of your brain. Your brain is there for you to utilize, and don't think that you have partial usage of it. You have all your brain is right there for you to use. The thing that is true about right and left is that our body is controlled by the hemispheres. So the right hemisphere controls what side of the body?
Left.
And the left hemisphere controls what side of the body? Exactly. And do you remember why they think that is? Do you remember from last week?
Yeah. I'm always screwed up.
Why is that? Why do they think it is? Anyways. When we were out in the wilderness, when we were just out there trying to survive, if something comes at you, if a threat comes at you on the right, which way do you need to get out of there?
Left.
You need to go left. So that's what they think, and then of course vice versa. So that's what they're thinking. Also, last week we took a look at basic parts of the brain. You remember this? Mm-hmm. And that it is the brain that controls what?
Yes.
Everything. The brain is the boss.
Yeah.
All right? The brain is the boss. But we did take a look at the fact that the brain had developed over time. Because initially we have what?
We had it.
The primal brain. Remember the primal brain? All right, so that is the brain that comes first, and then over time, through evolution, we get the development of a larger brain, and that is what's referred to as the modern brain. All right? But the primal brain, what does the primal brain do? Hold on, Esther, what? Fight or flight. Excellent. Yes, fight or flight. That's very good. Yes, so the primal brain is what it kind of sounds like it would be instinctual and aggressive when you think of the word primal, right? And so that's what the primal brain functions as. And then the modern brain is what? Reasoning, logic, yes. Yes, the logical brain. All right, so here's the differences between the primal brain and the modern brain. Aren't you glad you have a modern brain?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people have a brain anymore.
Well, they do.
More primal.
Yeah, they do. All right, so if you're reacting to something, if something's upsetting you, what part of the brain gets that information first? The primal brain. Yes, the primal brain receives that first, and if we don't take a moment, we might react like this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You all remember her from last week, right? Yeah. Yes, so she is very clearly reacting from her primal brain. And she's reacting like that, or we would react like that because we would neglect to do what? When you have something threatening or upsetting, the oxygen in your frontal lobe shuts down. All right, so in your modern brain, it shuts down. All right, so that you can deal and cope with whatever's going on. But if you've got something that's threatening you and you have to think your way through it and you have to calm yourself down, obviously what do you need to do? Yeah, you need to get oxygen to the logical part of the brain. So we've all heard count to 10, right? That's true. If you count to 10 and you take some deep breaths and you get oxygen to the frontal lobe, you're going to bypass, you're going to get through the amygdala, the primal brain, and it's going to be able to circulate oxygen into your frontal lobe, and then you'll be able to deal with the situation in a way that doesn't get you in trouble, or, yes, in a way that, that makes you come off more like a mature person. Yeah. So from that, we decided it might be good to just take a quick look at stress versus distress. Because if you're having stress, that comes from your what? You're experiencing that from your primal brain, exactly. And so we looked at stress versus distress. Is there such a thing as good stress?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, exactly. There is such a thing as good stress. And if we want to differentiate, we can call stress something that's good, and what would be bad? Distress would be bad. And we took a look at a Harvard Medical School study, and what it showed, I don't know if you remember this because it was like so fascinating, that the study showed that people that believed stress was bad for them were affected, and it affected their health. But the people that believed stress was good for them, what did that do? They did better. It helped them. It helped them. Our belief in something can directly affect our health. And the study that I cited, it was part of this study, was the college students going in for an exam, and one group got a talk about, this, what you're going through now is preparing you to do well on the exam, and then the other group didn't get any kind of a pep talk, and so who passed the exam with flying colors? Yeah, the people that believed that stress was getting them ready and going to help them pass the test. So what we believe is important, and the word stress has just gotten a bad rap, hasn't it? It's just gotten a bad rap. There is such a thing as good stress, all right? And then the thing that is going to be something we need to take care of is distress. Distress. Too much, overwhelming, I think Edith had described it last week. Okay, so we did some brain basics, as you probably recall. The frontal lobe, and I don't know, we just talk about the frontal lobe an awful lot in here. Does all this look familiar to you? Yeah, it is your executive function. Yeah, this is where everything, this is where all your logic and reasoning occurs, correct?
Executive function.
Yes, and then we took a look at the temporal lobe very quickly because we're really going to look at that more today. But we did take some time on the parietal lobe. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
What does the parietal lobe, what function does that have? Yes, excellent. Your senses, yes. And then we took a look at pain. Why do we have pain? Why in a modern brain, in an evolved brain, would we still have the sense of pain?
It's a warning.
Yeah, you know what's happening.
Exactly, yes, you're all right. You are all exactly right. Because it is a signal that we need to do something. Yes. Okay. All right. And our senses, we'll just go through this very quickly. We put some interesting facts about each of the senses here that you might remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Look at all the touch receptors that we have. Hearing. Each person has their own scent. Except for twins, they have the same. Taste. This was interesting. Remember, we have 10,000 taste buds, and we were all relieved to know that if you burn your tongue on pizza, you'll be okay. In a few weeks, you'll be all right, and you'll be able to enjoy that pizza once again. Yeah, that was a relief. Yeah.
And smell.
And smell.
Oh, God.
Yeah. All right. Oh, this is what I was, all right, so anyways, we briefly went over that. What we really spent a lot of time on, though, was the occipital lobe. And the occipital lobe is the major area for what?
Sight.
Yes, for sight. And so we played some games. Do you remember the games
Yeah.
that we played? Illusions, optical illusions. Yes. Do you remember this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. Yes, and I confess that I didn't know it was Edgar Allan Poe. I grew up my whole life thinking that my mother made this up. Yeah, we heard that growing up our whole lives. Words to live by. We quickly went over how light affects what we see and how we see it. So we used this as an example of that. You see these two squares or blocks, right? And the top square is what color? And the bottom square is what color? Light gray. But we realized when we covered this lighted area right here that it's actually the same color. Yeah, it's the same color. And then just in case you didn't believe me, I used this little trick too to illustrate. Watch this. See? Dark gray, light gray. Watch. All right, so I wanted to show it to you before your own eyes. All right? And then we played this game. Remember this one?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so we looked at, we would stare at the plus sign in the middle. I called it an X, and David, the math teacher, corrected me and told me it was a plus sign. It's not an X, so thank you, David, for that. And what happens when you stare at it and then you blink your eyes?
The colors reversing.
Yeah, you see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see it in an after image. You see these colors in an after image. And then we took a look at how our the neurons grow in the brain. All right, you see how crowded your brain gets with lots and lots of neurons. So what you see is based on what? And as you get older, what increases? Your experiences, right? And so then we had this wonderful optical illusion here. Do you remember this one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, so we stare at that and close our eyes, and what happens to this yellow, green, and black flag?
Red, white, blue.
Everybody saw it in red, white, and blue. That's exactly right, because what did your brain do?
Correct.
Yeah, yes, corrected it. So what we're seeing based on experience would give us red, white, and blue, because that's wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Right
wrong.
somewhere, and then maybe
Yeah.
somebody does that flag.
All right, so now I thought I would give you one more because everyone seemed to enjoy this last week, so I didn't include this one. Let's try this, okay? Can you read this?
Yeah, you pick out the words.
All right, I'm hearing you all. Yeah, you're all reading it without any problem, but it should be a problem. Why?
Because a lot of letters are missing and they're substituted with numbers.
Yeah.
Yes, that should not make any sense. That should be gibberish, right? But what is your mind doing?
It's correcting.
Yes, your mind is compensating for the errors. Your mind, and it happens very quickly, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So the incredible brain is fixing that for you. All right, then we looked at perception, and we know that our eyes have how many colors?
It's got about 3.
3 colors, yes, 3 colors, and then we have the white rods that help us to see in grayscale. All right, so from those 3 colors, we get to see this spectrum, remember? Yeah, this whole spectrum. But is not much, exactly. Is that what you said, Esther? It's not much. So, yeah, so I was quick to point out that that's not that great.
No.
It's really not great, because in the colors that there are, right, the wavelengths that we have that we're aware of, we only get to see what?
Visible light.
Visible.
Yeah, with our naked eye, you can't see infrared or ultraviolet with your naked eye, can you?
No.
No, you only get to see just this like little tiny bit of that. And then, to make matters worse, we also looked at how your brain receives information. Do you remember the jump roping?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
jump roping, and you were all watching to see how many times they jumped, and a man in a chicken suit ran by and no one noticed.
Right.
No.
Nobody saw the man in a chicken suit.
That's how Cirque du Soleil functions. If you've ever been to Cirque du Soleil, things change right in front of your eyes and you don't.
And you don't even see it. Yes, because we can't, our mind can't take in all of that data. So we have to focus on what we perceive to be the important part.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so even though we only see a very tiny little bit of visible light, we then cannot see all of that. We have to focus in, we have to zoom in and concentrate on a certain area in order for things to make sense to us. And then I made it even more worse than that. Right? I just kept going and going with this stuff. Remember that? So 96% of all that is not detectable. All right, so for example, ultraviolet is detectable, right? And we can't see it.
No.
But that's included in the 4% that's detectable. And the reason why we say 96% of all that is not detectable is because scientists say that in order for everything in the universe to be supported and suspended and propelling at the rate that it's propelling, there has to be this much mass and matter in the universe, but it's not detectable. All right? So, of all that there is in the universe, we can only detect 4%, and of that 4%, we can only see a slither. How do you like that? Does that blow your mind? Like, do you wonder, like, what else is out there? What is it? Do you want to know?
Aliens do exist.
I so want to know. I just absolutely want to know.
I want to know too.
I know, right? Yes, I absolutely want to know. So, yes, and then I had to make it even worse by talking about extra dimensions and the multiverse. I went way overboard last week. All right, yeah, but we're going to skip all that today because I think I just did too much. All right, okay, so then we did some other quick trick things. All right, we looked at this. Which line is longer?
They're both the same.
Yep, you're right. They're both the same. And then we looked at this.
Yeah. It's a duck.
Duck and a rabbit.
Yeah, you can see a rabbit or you can see a duck.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yes. And then there was this one.
Oh,
Cats are wrong.
Cats and dogs.
Yes.
That's definitely two little cats.
Yeah. So that was the cute one. So all right, so we're not gonna talk about extra dimensions today because I think I just, overloaded us with stuff. All right, so we'll skip over that. But then we did look at depth perception, remember? We looked at depth perception and how light can change the way we perceive something. And we took a look at this.
Yeah.
Yes. So we know that all of those squares are exactly the same. What is the only thing that has changed? The light and the shading, that's exactly right. And that changed our depth perception. And then I showed you a few of these, remember?
Those are scary.
Yeah.
Big kids.
Yeah, they are amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I did include, we took a look at a lot more last week, but we have other stuff to get to, right?
Okay.
All right. And then somebody was saying, how do they do that? How do they do that? Well, it's all on a flat surface, and they are just using the illusion of depth perception. So that was last week, right? We just sped right through last week. Now we're going to get to today, and today we are talking about what?
Memory.
Yes, we're talking about memories, okay? Now, I want to introduce you to this man. He is just an astounding man. All right, his name is Eric Kandel, and he is a neurologist, and this is the man who created an experiment, developed an experiment, and the result of that experiment was the actual mapping of a memory being created in real time. You can see a memory being created in real time. It's amazing. In fact, I'm so upset with Nova because I wanted to show it to you, but it wouldn't let me because of copyright issues. And I love Nova. It's my favorite of all time. It's just my favorite of all time. But the name of the Nova documentary, it's called Memory Hackers. Memory Hackers. You can see it on YouTube, so I don't know why it wouldn't let me show you this. But Eric Kandel, he did experiments with developing memories. He wanted to know, how do memories develop in the brain? All right? And he used a simple life form. Do you want to know what it was? It was a sea slug.
A what?
Sea slug, a giant sea slug. Yes, but what he was able to do with an MRI in this study was he was able to show a memory being developed, being formed, being created. You can see it, you watch it happen. All right, so what if you go and watch this documentary, which was amazing, I highly recommend it. What you would see is the MRI of the memory as it's being formed. All right, so it's coming, the neuron is stimulated, and the synaptic transmission is traveling down. You don't need to know all the technical stuff, but it's traveling down, and what it does is it creates, the memory is viewed by a little branch. See these little things? All right, these little branches, a new one is created. That's how memories form in your brain. And when you have this new branch, well then that memory can connect to this one, right? It can just hop over. It can just jump over. So when you're trying to do something or remember something, the more of these little branches, I'm going to call them branches, that you have, the quicker a memory is going to come back to you, right? Because it doesn't have very far to go. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yes. And so that's what Dr. Kandel was able to prove, and he did it. You can watch it. It happens right before your eyes. You watch it on the MRI. It's absolutely amazing. So he is an expert in memory, Dr. Eric Kandel. And he's got a great life story, too. A great life story. All right. Maybe we'll get into that at another point in time. So how are memories encoded in the brain? Well, it might interest you to know everywhere. Everywhere. There are all different places that memories are going in your brain. It's not one particular spot. All right? So a piece of the memory is here and here and here and here and here. Memories are formed throughout all of your brain. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. All over your brain. There's not like one little place where all your memories are stored. Like there's not like a library of your memories anywhere. It's all over your brain. And then we have different kinds of memories, but the main kinds that we are aware of are short-term, working memory, and long-term, right? Yeah. So what is your working memory?
Things just do.
Yes, exactly, Pat. When you're on autopilot, right? When you get in your car to drive, do you have to think, first I put the key in the ignition, and then you don't have to do that anymore. Yes. Well, you did at first, right? When you first learned how to drive, you had to think to yourself all the steps. But you don't have to do that anymore. Why? Yeah, it's automatic. It's automatic, right? And then short-term memory is when you are first learning something. So learning to drive would initially be in your short-term, and now it's just something that you do automatically. So short-term is while you're learning, while you're exposed to new information. And then after you do it for a long time, or you're exposed to it for a long time, then it transfers to where?
Long-term.
Into your long-term memory. So those are the basic different types of memory. So now that you know that, and you know that memories are forming throughout your brain, you can think to yourself, I can utilize as much of my brain as possible in order to remember something. All right? So what do I mean by that? Does anybody here have trouble remembering names? You get introduced to somebody and then you can't remember their name?
That happens a lot.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right, Edith. You said it. Edith just said it. The best thing to do is connect that person to your long-term memory, all right? We just think to do it in the short term, all right? Someone just told me their name, and then we probably don't even hear it because probably other stuff's going on. But if you connect it to your long-term memory, to things that are so solidly in there, you don't really have to make any effort to remember. So, you meet somebody new and you hear their name, and then you just try to think of something that you can relate it to that's so familiar to you. So familiar to you.
Sometimes repeating it.
You should say it out loud. Yeah.
Multiple sentences.
Yes, but like, can anyone give me an example of how you could relate a name to a long-term memory?
Somebody else that you know?
Yes, yeah. So if they reminded you of somebody else that you know, yeah, that's definitely possible. What about rhyming their name with something?
Right, you could do that too.
All right, yeah, you could rhyme their name with something. If they had a hobby, or if their name rhymed with a hobby of yours, or something, just connect it to something. So you want to use more of your brain. If you're aware that you can use more of your brain, and you practice it, that's going to help you connect it to long-term memory. All right? All right, what about memory recall? Memory recall. Do you know that when we pull a memory out of the back of our mind, that it can change? Did you know that?
Yes.
Yeah, it can change. Because remember what we just said. If memory is encoded in multiple areas in your brain, when you're pulling that one memory together, it's coming together from different places, right? So is some distortion bound to happen?
Absolutely.
Yes, some distortion is bound to happen. So when you pull it back up and it comes together, it's going to be a little bit different, If you have a photograph, that's totally different. A memory is not like a photograph.
In other words, it's not fixated.
It's not fixated, no. No. Yes,
I was
Trudy?
going to say that's the trouble with eyewitnesses, with the police.
Yes.
It's not true what these people really, they think they're saying the right thing, but.
Yes, they're very genuine in what
Yeah.
they're saying.
And you can
Um,
be led into saying it by somebody
absolutely.
suggesting.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yep, that's another. Yeah, you can have a false memory. I've got that up here. But every time you recall something, it is not like taking a photograph out of your album. The photograph's going to be the same, right? Everything that was in the photograph 50 years ago is still going to be in the photograph, right? A memory is not like that. It is distorted. It is coming from different places, and every time you recall it, it becomes a little bit different and a little bit different. All right, so you want to remember that. And then that's what we were talking about, is false memories. And a lot of studies have been done. Do you know how easy it is to implant a false memory?
Yeah, I've heard studies about
Yeah, it's not that difficult to implant a false memory. It's been done, studies have been done over and over and over again. And this, you think, well, maybe with children, but even with adults. Even with adults, you can implant a false memory. So that's something to be aware of and to be careful of, but I do want to tell you some good news, all right? Do you know that when you have a memory, it triggers the same chemical releases in your brain as the original event?
Wow.
Did you know that?
No.
Yes, the same chemicals will be released. So think about that. If you're thinking about something funny and you remember it a year later, will you laugh? All right, if you're thinking about something sad that happened a long time ago, will you feel that?
Yeah.
You cry? Yeah, exactly. If you're recalling something, then you're going to have the same chemical releases as if it were happening again. As if it were happening again. So if you know that, you're aware of that, do you think it would be to your benefit maybe to think of good stuff?
Yeah.
Right? Think of funny things, think of happy thoughts. Do you remember from last week I showed you the chemicals? Remember these chemicals? What do we have? What do we have? Like right available to us.
All the good things.
Look at dopamine.
That make you feel good.
Yeah, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins. All right? So if you've got them naturally, your brain can produce them, and all you have to do is what?
Think
Just
about it.
think about
Oh
it.
my gosh, why wouldn't you be doing that?
And then we renew that.
Now,
Yes.
see,
All you have to do is visualize something, all right? Everybody's getting this, right?
Yep.
Visualize something. So if you're feeling a little bit down, something let you down and you need a little cheering up, you have a whole bunch of really great chemicals in your brain, and all you've got to do is this.
Oh, good.
Don't you want to be him?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Doesn't he look very happy and content?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Sure.
When? When can you do this?
Anytime you want.
Exactly, Pat. Anytime you want. So why not? Why not do it? Would you spend a little more time thinking about, do you know that if, let's say you can't think of an actual happy memory, you can visualize what? Anything. And the chemicals will release. All right? They're there, people. Use them. They're right there. All right. Do you know that there's also something called body memory?
Yes.
Body memory. What's body memory?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Do you know that people that have amputated limbs still feel pain
Yeah.
in that limb that's not there anymore? Yes, so we have body memories. We have cellular memory. All right. Do you ever go into some place and you have like a feeling? Could be a good feeling or a bad feeling. Our body, you might not remember specifically, but your body will remember. Yeah, there's a phenomena called phantom pains or phantom limbs. Yeah, so even though it's not there anymore, you feel it. You feel it, or you'll feel pain in something that just does not exist anymore. All right, so what about memory strengthening? Can we strengthen our memory?
Absolutely.
All right, we want to be aware, and that's what I'm trying to do today, is make you aware of everything that's available, all the tools that you have, that you're carrying around with you all the time. Do you know that smell is the fastest route to the brain?
Yes.
All right, so if you want to remember something, be alert to the fact that I can use all of my senses. I'm going to purposely remember I'm going to notice the smell. I'm going to notice all of these things. Is that going to increase your ability to remember?
Yes.
Yes, yes, it absolutely is. Okay, what about these?
Yes.
Mnemonics. You've all heard of mnemonics, I'm sure,
Yeah.
right? And maybe even when you were going to school, you had something similar to this to remember the order of the planets in our solar system.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's very helpful, isn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, my very excellent mother just served us nachos. Was yours nachos?
No, mine is different.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I'm thinking that you're probably not very often asked to recite the order of the planets in our universe. So how is this helpful to you? How would this be helpful to you? Well, let's say you're on your way to the grocery store. All right, I do this all the time. Okay, and I know I need things, but I'm nervous I'm going to forget something. So I just make a little sentence out of the first letter of each thing that I need. Okay, all right. So I need trash bags, milk, eggs, coffee, bread, mayonnaise, and I need dish soap. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So here's my sentence. Too much eating could break my diet. All right? Too much eating could break my diet. All right, everyone repeat that sentence.
Too much eating would break my diet.
All right, can you tell me the grocery list?
Too much eating.
No, 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 no. What do I need? What do I need?
Milk, eggs.
No,
I know we did the same thing.
Wait a minute,
listen, that's easier to do it that
Oh,
way.
what's the C? There's mayonnaise and
Coffee.
there's dish soap and there's.
Two.
God.
That's excellent. Do you remember? You remembered a lot of it. Mayonnaise. Yes, yes. You remembered a lot of it, and I just in just a couple of seconds. And it's not even your grocery list; it's mine. So if anyone, yeah, I would trust any of you to go shopping for me. You're right. Trash bags, milk, eggs, coffee, bread, mayonnaise, and dish. You remembered them.
I got 6 out of 7.
Yes, you did. You got 6 out of 7. That's great. That's great. And see how fast that can just go into your head? I'll do that. I do that all the time. I'm on my way to the store and I want to make sure I remember everything, and I just make a little sentence out of the things that I need. Let's play another game. Are you ready for another game?
Okay.
We're going to use association. So you can use association. Remember, if memory is all throughout your brain, then let's use your whole brain. All right, let's play this game. Okay, association. Lock and piano. They have a word that could be used for both of those things. Can you think of it?
Automobile.
Oh, wait, key. Excellent. Yes, Pat. Wow, you're very good at this. So lock and piano, the association word would be key. What about ship and card?
Board. Board. Sheep.
Yeah, she's right, board.
Oh, yeah, board, ship,
Somebody
and
else said
cardboard.
that.
That could be.
All right, that could be. What about tree and car?
Tree and car. I was good, I liked the first one.
You could do tire, you can hang a tire. on
Trunk.
a
Who
tree.
said trunk? Good, Marilyn.
Oh, trunk.
School and I.
Pupil.
Excellent. Pillow and court. Yep.
Night course.
River and money.
Flow.
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 Oh, that's good. Bed and paper.
Sheep.
Oh,
Army, water.
Navy.
Right.
Navy, he said Navy.
He's a Navy guy. That's why
Yeah,
he said
would
that.
fit.
But yeah, water, Navy. That doesn't make sense. Army, Navy. That water, Army. All right, we'll take a look. Tennis and noise. Excellent. Egyptian and mother. Excellent, Conrad.
What was the answer?
Mummy.
Mummy.
Oh,
Smoker and plumber. Excellent. Oh my God. Let's see how we did.
Oh, it's deck.
Yeah, it was deck, but I think board is good too.
yeah.
That's perfectly acceptable. All right.
Oh, I
So
like that too. Exam and private are also possible for that school and I. That's
Yeah.
interesting, yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So great job, you guys. All right. Here's another little trick. All right. Don't do this while you're driving. Do this while you're a passenger. All right. To just do a quick brain game. You can be driving around, well, as a passenger, and look at the license plate numbers, and here's what you're going to do. You're going to add 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2 plus 5. All right, and then 15. 1 plus 5 is what? Yeah.
Six.
All right? Yeah.
16.
It's 16. I thought so too. Yeah. All right. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to reduce it. You're going to add it all up and then reduce it to the lowest denominator. It's just a quick little brain game that you can play while you're driving. I mean, there's always things you can do. Always things that you can do. What about singing? How did you all learn the alphabet? Yes. Actually, can you say the alphabet without singing it?
Yes.
Now, I've always maintained that, back before there was writing, how did people remember the ancient stories? They sang them. They sang them.
Oh, that's right, they did.
Yep, they sang them.
Michelle, I have a quick one for you.
What?
Do you know how many books are in the Bible?
66.
Okay, well, in the Old Testament, there are 39.
Yeah.
And 3 times 9 is 27. And that's how many are in the New
Oh,
Testament.
how nice. But I have to throw a little curveball at you,
Okay,
because not all Bibles are the same.
I'm going by the one I have.
All right. Yes. We're gonna. All right.
By the correct one.
Yeah, I'm going by the right one.
Okay. Memory mapping. Memory mapping. I don't think I'm going to have time to show. Well, yeah. Let's just do it, right?
Sure.
All right. Let's just do it. Memory mapping. Remember we talked about when you meet somebody and you want to try to remember their name, that you're going to try to connect it to your long-term memory. So I have another Brain Games clip for you here, and I'm going to show you that exact strategy.
It's going to ask strangers in the heart of New York City to test them.
Well, we're going to try to snag some people off the street here, and I'm going to see if I can memorize the serial numbers in their pockets and maybe win a little money in the process. There's 8 numbers on every dollar bill with two letters. How about these ladies? Hey, ladies. How are you? My name's Ron.
Ebony.
Ebony, it's good to meet you.
Melissa.
Melissa, good to meet you. Demetria. I got a challenge for you. Y'all got some dollar bills in your pockets?
I don't know, I mean, what are you doing with the dollar bills? What are we doing here?
Well, we're going to see if I can memorize it. If I can memorize the serial numbers, then I get to keep the money. And if I can't, I'll double the money and give it back to you. Is that a challenge? You like that?
Washington here.
Ron's going to memorize not just one serial number, but 4, all in one go.
He doesn't have that one.
You don't think I have that one?
Read it again, we'll give you 5 more seconds.
I think I got that one. I think I'm good. Oh, you don't think I know? You think I'm good? Take it from the top. F 25731466 N. Booyah, baby! Yeah. Next one now. F 52753516R.
I'm sorry.
E 35153043E.
What were the last 3? No.
You ladies don't like parting with your money very easy. And this last one was B 42417153K. That wasn't very, y'all were very happy.
So how does Ron do it?
Number one, if you focus on something, your memory's probably better than you think it really is. And then the second takeaway is if you can learn how to somehow visualize what you want to remember, maybe a 4 is car because it's got 4 doors and 4 tires, a 9 for cat because a cat has 9 lives.
By turning numbers into pictures or objects, Ron then creates what he refers to as memory maps.
When I want to memorize something, I just take whatever it is I want to memorize and I turn it into a picture and then I place it on pieces of furniture in my house. And then to recall the string of digits, I just walk back through my house and I tell you what I'm seeing on my furniture. It's just a system of creating a map in your head.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Now, what he's talking about in his house, so he's creating the picture, but he's placing it like as you would walk through his house. All right, so he knows the order because he knows the order that his furniture is arranged, the way his house is arranged. So he's going to place this and then this and then this according to where he lives. Is that connecting short-term memory with long-term memory?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Is there anybody here that would not be able to do what he did? There's not. I know you're all raising your hand. There's not. There's not. What do you have to do?
Make it a habit.
If there's not a single person, does your brain stop growing at a certain age?
Oh, yeah.
No,
It's
it does
going
not. No, it doesn't. It does not. All right? It continues to grow and change, and that you could develop these new habits. Now, I don't recommend you go out into the street and ask people for money. But this can help you. This can help you if you associate something in the short term with the what?
Long term.
Long term. Things that you're very, very familiar with. Now we're going to quickly talk about the thing that's probably scariest of all, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The fading of memory, it's some form of dementia. So we're going to talk about that. When we have little bouts of, I don't remember where I placed my car keys, is that dementia, early onset, or is that normal forgetting? It's normal forgetting. So please don't get upset or, worry yourself if you have normal forgetting. Now, if you found your car keys, you picked them up, but you looked at them and you wondered what they were for,
That's dementia.
all right, that would be alarming.
Yeah.
All right, that would be concerning. Now, I want to show you the difference between a healthy brain and a brain with dementia. Here's the healthy brain. It's got plenty of what? Those branches. Excellent, David. Yes, thank you. And then what happens in the diseased brain is that the brain starts to shrink, doesn't it? Because plaque builds up and the dendrites get there's entanglement. All right, so if I want to remember something and my synapse needs to jump from here to here, would I be able to get there? Yeah, it's gonna be pretty quick. It's not a big jump. But if I need to remember something, I have to get here to here. Could it fall?
Yeah,
Could it just fall away?
yeah.
Yeah, and you lose it, right?
Right.
You lose it. I mean, that's quite a jump. And that's the difference. If you are learning new things and you're making more of these branches, then it has something to jump from here to, it has something to jump onto, right? You can make the connection, right? And how do we do that? How do we make more of these? Because that's a healthy brain. That's what we want. Can you do that right now? Yes. Do you do that when you come to Head Talks?
Absolutely.
Yes, it's so important. That's exactly right. Okay, so a healthy brain, look at all of these things that we need. Yeah. Yeah, you always need oxygen. Yep, that's true. All right, and now the impoverished neuron. What do we have here? See this one that says 100% directed? That means somebody is telling you what to do. It just means a lack of freedom and autonomy. Yes.
Shrieks.
All right.
Anything shrieks on.
Yeah. So we want our neurons to look like this, right?
Yeah.
But these are kind of long lists, aren't they? And that's a lot to remember. So I decided I'm going to give you 5 things. Can we remember 5 things?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, we're going to remember 5 things. So the first thing is, in order to have healthy neurons and to develop more branches, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're getting enough sleep. Because when you sleep, there's a process of cleaning out the the debris so plaque doesn't build up. All right? So no matter how you sleep or where you sleep, try to get some sleep.
Most do not
Holy
wake up
mackerel.
and sleep.
All right? Yes.
How can they
Yeah.
sleep that way?
However, whatever works for you, get some sleep. Try to get some good sleep so that your brain, it has a self-cleaning system, your brain, all right? And you want to clear out debris that otherwise, if you don't get enough sleep, it's sticky and will clog up, all right? And it will cause entanglement and shrivel up those branches that we need to make those connections. All right, number 2, what we need is to be aware of what we're eating. And a lot of studies show that the Mediterranean diet is the best diet for a healthy brain. All right, so the Mediterranean diet. Conrad, that's what you were asking about earlier. All right, so that's what you can eat. Now, number 3 is probably just a given. Can you guess? Exercise, that's right. Yes, exercise. Yeah, I didn't want to go get a photo of any of you exercising. I thought you might be mad at me if I did that, so I got a cartoon instead. All right, so yeah, exercise, you need to exercise. And then number 4 is something that's really important. Remember we talked about distress?
Yeah.
All right, so if you are in constant fight or flight, is that bad for you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very bad for you. So you want to balance. I mean, sometimes you can't help what's going on in your life, correct?
Mhm.
But can you counteract it with something else?
Yes.
Can you use your logical brain to think of what would make me happy? All right? You know, some people go to Macy's, some people shoot pool, some people, I mean, it's whatever. What?
Read a good book.
Read a good book, eat chocolate. That is actually very good. All right, whatever it is for you, you need to counterbalance, counteract whatever distress is happening in your life, whatever is making you sad. Remember visualization? Remember the dopamine that you've got right in your own head?
Mhm.
All right? There's all those things are available to you. Don't go sinking down one road.
Listening to good music.
Yeah, you need balance, you need balance. All right, now number 5 is the most important of all, okay?
Relationships?
Number 5, most important of all. Do I have your attention?
Yep.
All right. Learn new things. Why is that? We've been talking about it for the whole time. When you learn something new, what are you doing?
You're adding to the.
Yes, you're adding those branches, all right? And when you add those branches, you're creating something called cognitive reserve. Cognitive reserve. I'm going to tell you about a fascinating study, okay? Fascinating. It's called the nun study. These nuns were in a longitudinal study, all right? They tracked them for decades, and when they died, they donated their bodies, their brains to science. All right? So when they were examined, it was found that some of the nuns had, they had Alzheimer's, they had dementia, some form of dementia, but they showed no symptoms. They had a shriveled brain, they had entanglement, but they showed no symptoms. They should have showed the Alzheimer's symptoms, but they didn't. So they were trying to find out why? Why? Because they lived, where did they live?
In a commune.
In a commune. What were they constantly doing?
Praying.
And studying and talking and yes, they were constantly learning. All right, they were social. They were living in an environment that caused their brains to do what?
Expand.
Stabilize.
To create more. Yes, exactly. to create more of those branches. All right, so cognitive reserve, so even though there were parts of the brain, there were neurons that were shriveled up, because they were learning so many new things, there were a number of others, and so you could like circumvent the diseased ones because they had made so many other connections. All right? Now, let me help. We're going to have these two little girls help us illustrate. Okay? Is everybody paying attention? All right. We're going to have these two little girls help us illustrate that point. Okay? So these two little girls are Sophia and Danielle. All right? These two little girls, Sophia and Danielle, are my granddaughters. These are my granddaughters. Yes. Yep. This is Sophia. They're sisters. This is Sophia. She's the oldest, and this is Danielle. And my nickname for them is, I call them my cupcake heads. Yeah, I have 9 grandchildren, right? So I have chiclets, chunklets, and cupcake heads. All right, and these two are my cupcake heads right here.
Okay.
All right. Now this littler one here, she already knows she would like to be a lawyer. When she grows up, she's going to be a lawyer, and we all agree because no one can argue like that one. Yeah.
My son could.
I used that.
Yeah. She's a very good arguer. All right, so I'm very proud to introduce you to my two of my granddaughters. I have 6. All right, Sophia and Danielle. All right, now what if I put this up here, and all I told you was their names? What would have happened in your brain?
Visualize their faces.
Yeah.
You would have just had a little bit of, not much would have grown, right?
No.
You wouldn't have had too much. But I told you a whole bunch about my granddaughters, didn't I?
Yes.
All right, so what happened in your brain?
It
Got all
started
It's
adding.
growing.
So the more you know, the more information you have, if I show this to you again next week, you might remember their names, or you might remember that they're my granddaughters, or you might remember that the little one wants to be a lawyer, but there'll be something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we made a lot more connections, okay? So you're going to remember something. So when you're, when you're reading or when you're just experiencing life or whatever you're doing, realize that the more information you take in, the more you're going to be able to remember. Remember the nun study. They did not show symptoms because of cognitive reserve. Their brain looked exactly the same as someone with dementia, but they showed no symptoms because of cognitive reserve. Is that astounding?
Yes, it is.
That is astounding. It's very good to know. The other good news that I have for you is cognitive reserve. There are other supports for the development of this cognitive reserve. All right? And that is, in addition to education, learning new things, it's social supports, it's interesting activities. All right? It's engaging in conversation. All right? Now, that means that all of you in this room have made a brilliant choice. You've made a brilliant decision when you decided, yes, is it going to offer you everything you need to develop that cognitive reserve? It is, isn't it?
Yes.
All right, so don't forget to take advantage of it. Don't forget how incredible and magnificent you are, and that you have the whole use of your brain, and that you have to know that, be aware of it, go out and use it. What do they say? Use it or?
Lose it.
All right, we're not going to lose it, are we?
No.
No. All right, so I have to say next time, because I'm on vacation next week.
Oh, we won't be seeing you.
No, I'm on vacation, but I'll be back the week after. And when I come back, what will we be doing? We'll talk about sleep and dreaming. All right? Well, remember, it's good for your brain, so if you fall asleep, I will not be offended. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming, and I'll see you next time in 2 weeks.